Well, good morning guys, welcome back to another video. So I've met up with Paul Thompson this morning. We drove out the city to the Lake District today. Now we did come out the other day, but the weather, it wasn't great. We went to the old wood that I went to in the previous video. There was a strong forecast of fog. Now we didn't get that, but we had a good walk about. Paul took some shots because he hadn't photographed in there before. So what we're doing today is we've headed out to the lakes because there was another forecast of fog and frosty conditions, but that's not the case at the moment. So the weather's a bit like pea soup. So what we've decided to do is head to a location I came to a couple of years ago called the Old Mill in the Bodderdale Valley. Now the reason for that is we just wanted a place of interest to go till the light breaks. The light hasn't broke yet, it's still very socked in with low cloud, but it gives us time to get out and have a walk, stretch your legs and see if we can get a shot. Now the thing with today is we're not expecting to get any great shots at the Old Mill because the water levels are really low, and to get decent shots at the Old Mill you really need some water. But we're going to go and have an explore anyway and see what we can capture today, see how that light changes. So hope you enjoy the rest of today's video. So unfortunately we've made it up to the Old Mill here, and I don't know if you can see over my left shoulder. We've actually got workmen here, they're working on the mill itself, so we're going to have to scratch that idea for now. We're still waiting for that light to change, so what we'll do is we'll head back to the van and try and come up with another plan. Well, good morning and welcome back. Now as you'll have seen yesterday, we didn't get any light whatsoever. It was like pea soup all day. So what we've done is we've met up today with Adrian, Paul's friend, and we're going to see if we can have better luck today. Now we've made it up to the viewpoint we were at yesterday down in the Bodderdale Valley here, and we're looking at these mountains at the end. Now we are getting some light today, so it's looking a bit better than yesterday, and what I'm planning on doing is just basically taking a shot of the mountains at the bottom of this valley. I've got set up with the 100 to 400 round at about 135 mil, and that's getting the shot that I'm after. Now all we need is some light to cut in between those hillsides at the bottom to give it some depth, and yeah, just hopefully we can get a shot finally. Now what I'm trying to be aware of, I don't want any of the fields in the bottom of the shot and any of the houses. It's simply going to be a section of those mountains because that's the interesting part of the image, so that's why I want to discard any of those fields. I'm not using the polarizer. I've still got the lens cap on at the moment because we are getting rain coming in from time to time, so what I'll do is set the shot up, put the lens cap on, put it on a 5-second timer and then get the shot. Now because I'm shooting at that longer focal length and we're getting gusts of wind up here, I'm being aware of my shutter speed. I want a quick enough shutter speed to make sure that I don't get any movement because I'm using the longer focal length. I'm shooting this at f11 round about ISO 320 just to bump up that shutter speed, and that's getting the shot. You'll be able to see the composition that I'm going for. You'll be able to see how flat it is because there's no light there. You've just literally got the darkness of the mountains with that low cloud. So we're still up here on this crag. Now, got a couple of shots there. We did get some light coming in. Now, it wasn't dramatic like we thought the valley was gonna light up. Even with that little bit of light that we got in there, it did bring the image to life. So what I'm wanting to do now is, because the weather patterns changing all the time, I want to pay attention to the opposite side of the valley here over the lake. You'll be able to see all that atmosphere, cloud. We're getting light from time to time in there. The exciting thing is you don't know what the weather's going to do, so that's why we're going to hang around here for as long as we have done up to now. But it's a beautiful location, it's nice and peaceful, and we'll see if we can get some more images before we move on to another location, maybe back down close towards where we've parked the car. There is some waterfalls there. The only thing is there isn't a lot of water today. We haven't had a lot of rainfall, so the rivers are quite bare. But what a fabulous morning it is. So I'm going to get back and try for a couple of shots, and I hope you like them. Now, we left the Lake District the other day. We weren't getting great light, but we got some shots. Now, we've hung on a couple of days, so what we decided to do, we planned a trip up to Scotland, and what can I say, it's absolutely beautiful. We've got here about midday, so we're out tonight, literally just for the recce. Try out some shots. It's always a good idea to try out shots. But it's really breathtaking. The Scotch pines look beautiful. We've had a dusting of snow. It's actually -7 at the moment, so it's really cold. Just excited for the next few days. So what we're going to do is we're going to have a good look around this area in the time that we've got left. So we're going to lose that sun within the next hour or so, and just see what compositions we can find for the following day. Now, we're going to be coming here for sunrise. So there should be some nice shots with all this snow, the frost, the ice. It's just amazing, it really is. And I've always wanted to photograph here, so now I'll get my chance. And this is what we came here for. We came for these 2 Scotch pines. We've got one to the left hand side, it's still fully grown on the top, and then we've got one to the right hand side. It looks like it's dying off, but it actually greets the other bigger tree, and the way it arches over is beautiful. And what you've got to be really aware of with this shot is the height and the composition itself for separation. Now, the reason being, I wanted to include a foreground interest, so I'm going to use these bushes. I've got that lovely soft snow on. There's no movement in here, it's nice and still. Now, you'll be able to see in between those 2 trees we've got a bit of a shrub, a bit of a bush. So I wanted to gain enough elevation to include the base of that, but I also wanted to make sure it wasn't touching this right hand tree here. I've always said in the past how important separation is. That's why you should really take time to study your composition. Now, the height was important also. You'll be able to see the left hand side of the main tree. I didn't want the branches touching the mountain tops. I wanted plenty of clearance there. Same at the right hand side where you've got part of the tree that's still alive. I wanted to make sure that that was clear of the mountains. Just got to wait on some really nice light. Now, hopefully that happens. But what a splendid evening. You know, drove up here this morning. We didn't get in here till early afternoon, so we haven't had a lot of time, but the fact that we've got here earlier means we can set up some compositions like I did before for the following day. So I'm going to get back and try this shot. Cross your fingers for us and hope we get some nice light, and we'll see how it works out. Well, good morning guys. It's a nice fresh start this morning. Got up nice and early for sunrise. Now we haven't got a lot of cloud cover this morning, but it's still beautiful. We've got that snow, we've got the frost, and it really looks nice and wintry in here. So we came to a location where we finished off the previous evening where we photographed sunset, and we wanted to come back just to see how it was in the morning with the morning light. Things look a lot different early morning. So it just goes to show when you come back at different times of the day, you can see how compositions change out with that light. Yesterday it was really nice, it looked pretty, but with this colour this morning, you'll be able to see behind us, we've got some amazing colour. I want to photograph this larger Scotch pine and use some of the reeds that are covered in snow and frost in the foreground. Now, I said yesterday about separation, it's going to work the same here. I want the dominant tree slightly off centre to the left hand side. Now you notice in the background we've got two Scotch pines either side, and I've managed to place the main Scotch pine in the centre of those two. And I want to make sure that the branches of the tree, the main tree, aren't touching the others, so I'm trying to put it in its own area of space, and that's going to gain us that separation. Now it's actually -12, it's freezing cold, so I'm going to try and work as quick as I can and come up with some different compositions in this area, but this is the first shot that I want to go for this morning. Well, we're back out again. Had a good feed, had breakfast, coffee to warm us up, and we've decided to come back out now. It's close to midday now. You'll be able to see the sun's up. It's really blue in here because we've got a blue sky above. It's casting the colour on the ice, and the crystals are really illuminated by that sun. I'm wanting to use these two boulders in the foreground, so I've got quite close with the 35mm. Now I want to close that gap where you've got the expanse of the lake. That was another reason to getting a bit lower down, so I'm quite low to the floor here, to close that mid-ground so there isn't too much. You've got those beautiful mountains. There's some nice highlights in there, some nice cool tones with the shadows, and there's a lot of interesting peaks in the background. Now the reason for using the 35 instead of like a 24mm, I want to bring those mountains a bit closer as I get closer to those boulders. I don't want to push them too far back, so at 35mm, I said earlier, it's close to what I can see, and it really suits this composition. Now what I've done is I've actually put the two boulders slightly off to the left hand side. I haven't put them in the centre, I've put them off to the left, and then you've got a big mountain to the right hand side that you can see, and it just curves down and meets all these interesting hills. So I'm not using a polarizer for this shot. It is pretty bright, but I like the fact that you've got these shiny crystals of snow on top of the ice. Just going to be a simple image. Normally when you wouldn't take a shot, you know, it's midday, it's bright blue sky, but I think it suits this composition. I think it really simplifies it, so that's what I'm going to go for. I'm going to get back, capture this shot, and then we'll wander a bit further around this lake. It's still very cold here, and see if we can come across any smaller scenes as the day goes on. So I'm going to get back, get this shot, and I hope you like it. Now, I passed these trees earlier on this morning. I actually pointed out to Adrian that one of them was really interesting. Now, the only thing was, it blended in with the background. There was no light in there. Now, even later in the afternoon, yesterday, it didn't really stand out. Now, because of the time of day now, it's just after midday, those trees are being side lit by that sun that's rising. Now, because they've got the snow on the bark, actually stuck to the bark, and the trunk of the tree, it really stands out. And the fact that you've still got the snow on the branches, and then you've got the greens, it looks amazing. It really does. So I'm looking forward to getting this shot. Now that tree in particular, it's side lit along with the others, but the trees behind are in darkness, so they really stand out. So I've got two shots in mind here. I'm going to go tight in on the tree with the 100 to 400. Just a nice simple square image of the tree. It's beautiful, and then I'm going to actually go for a really wide shot, because the trees and the bushes alongside that tree are also being lit up from the side. Now there is some power lines running across the bottom of the image, so I'm being aware of that and making sure that I don't include those power lines. It really is a great shot, and I'm so pleased that I came across it. And that was it. You know, I was looking along the lakeside, wasn't really coming across anything, looked over my shoulder at where I'd photographed first thing this morning, and it just completely changed. The scene had changed, and it was all down to that light. So I'm going to get back and get these shots. I really hope you like them, and then we'll have another little explore around this area. It is going to be time to get some lunch soon, so I don't know how much longer we're going to be, but I'm going to put these images up anyway, and I hope you enjoy them.